Welcome to the Why Not podcast with me, Chrissy Hawkins. In a world where everybody always asks you why, I'm here to ask why not. I'm going to do that by breaking down the mindsets of guests and my own to figure out what makes people say, why not? Hello and welcome back to Why Not. So today I have got Fiona Thomas on with me. She is a freelance author and writer, and we're actually going to talk all about mental health today and how her own mental health struggles brought her to the job she is in now, as actually being a freelance writer, which she previously would have never thought possible. So it's a really interesting story here. We had intended to talk a bit more about how exercise helped her mental health, but I actually thought like the way she ended up changing jobs and everything was really interesting. So we just kept going down that one, and it's really, really interesting. And if you are struggling and feel like you want to change, I think this could be a really helpful episode for you, if you like say have a pastime that you don't think that you could actually take on full time. And yeah, so as ever guys, I just want you to sit back and relax or walk and listen, but here is my episode with Fiona Thomas. Guys, welcome back to Why Not. Today I have a guest, my first guest in ages actually. So I have Fiona Thomas. Fiona is a freelance author and writer, and I'm going to let her tell you all a little bit more about herself. So hi, welcome to the podcast, Fiona. How are you?
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
So do you want to tell everyone all about yourself?
Yeah, so my name's Fiona. I'm 35 years old and I'm originally from just outside Glasgow in Scotland. And as you said, I'm an author and freelance writer. I have had a really squiggly kind of career. So I studied music at uni, and then I realised that I didn't want to go down that path. So then I fell into a job in catering. I worked in coffee shops for almost a decade. I was a manager. And then when I was 26, I had a mental breakdown. I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety. And that was a big catalyst for me to kind of change my life and figure out what I really wanted to do. I started a blog, and on that blog, I talked quite openly about my mental health struggles in a way that I felt I wasn't ready to do in real life. So yeah, it was really therapeutic for me, and I guess I just realised, oh, I love writing, and it feels like something I could do for the rest of my life. I just love it. And I was doing it for free. So I was like, wouldn't it be cool if I got paid? So eventually managed to start writing for magazines and websites, and then getting my own clients. And yeah, managed to go full-time freelance when I was 30. Around that time as well, I also got my first book deal. So I wrote my memoir, which is called Depression in a Digital Age. And that's my story of how I had a mental breakdown and how I used the internet to kind of find myself again and find a community and feel better about myself. And then a few years after that, I wrote Out of Office, which is my business book. It's all about how to get set up as a freelancer and manage your health, manage your mental health along the way. And yeah, so now I write books, and I also host online writing courses and programs for people who are basically like me, 10 years ago, stuck in a job that they don't like, wanting to have some, have a creative outlet, perhaps maybe turn it into a job. I hold space for those people and just allow people to get excited about writing, because it really is the thing that totally changed my life, and I love it.
That's really cool. Did you ever think like of doing a career in writing before this happened, or was it kind of?
It was always like felt like a pipe dream of like, oh, wouldn't that be amazing? But I just couldn't see how I could get from A to B. Like I just thought, how on earth am I going to get to that point without going back to uni and studying again? And I always like to point that out to people. Like, I don't have a degree in English. I've never worked at a magazine. I've never worked at a publishing house. It's all just been stuck together with like duct tape. Like I just managed to blag my way into this, and it's worked. So I always say that to people, because I'm like, don't hold yourself back thinking that you need to go and retrain to have some sort of career in writing. You don't necessarily have to. But I loved English when I was at school. I loved writing, but I always thought, I actually just thought that I found English easy, but I thought everyone found English easy. I guess I didn't realize that it was a skill and that I had a kind of love for it. I just thought, well, it's just writing. Everyone can write. Like, it's not, I just didn't think it was a talent or a skill, and I think didn't think I was really good enough to make it into a job. So I just kind of disregarded it. And I do always wonder, like, if I had gone to uni to study English, I wonder if I would have kind of fallen out of love with it. You know, sometimes when you
Yeah.
study something, you think, oh, I've just lost all my kind of passion and excitement for it. So I think the way it worked out for me is probably for the best.
Do you think that's what happened to you with music?
Well, partially that, but also I'm just not good enough. Like, I'm just so rubbish. Like, I didn't really get into, like, I always loved pop music. I was always into like the Spice Girls and stuff like that. I always loved singing in choirs and stuff like that. And then when I was a teenager, I found indie music and, like, I don't know, just really wanted to be like an indie kid. So I thought, yeah, I'll study music. But I really, all I could do was sing. I was rubbish at guitar. I was rubbish at piano. I didn't have like a good knowledge of the history of music or like context or anything. So I got to uni with all these people who are just so smart and not even smart, just really passionate about music. And I was like, oh, I'm not passionate about music. I just like music.
Okay.
And I'm not as passionate enough about it to go to the lengths I would need to go to make this a job. So yeah, I think, yeah, I loved doing the course. Like, I really enjoyed the course. I loved the people and it was fun, but I knew probably about halfway through the degree, I was like, I'm never going to get a job in this, because you really have to be willing to work really hard to get there. And I thought, I just don't want it enough. But with writing, I realised, oh, no, I do want this, and I will keep writing even if no one ever pays me, because I just love it.
Yeah, it's not as much a job. That kind of happened to me in college actually as well. I did media studies in college, and about halfway through, I was like, I don't like this, and I want to do, of all things, radio. So obviously, it's kind of stuck to me now. I still do podcasts, but like, it's like I don't want to do all the work it's going to take me to get into radio. I don't want to do that much.
Yeah. And
So
I think, yeah, back then as well, like, I don't know what age you are, but back then it felt like, well, if you don't, you'll have to go and work at a company. There's no way to start up your own
yeah,
podcast. Back then it was, say, with like journalism, there weren't blogs back then, so it was like, well, you need to go and work at a newspaper. That's the only, or a magazine. There was
yeah,
no way to create there was no platform that you could just publish stuff, whereas now there's so much more freedom to, if you are creative, to just get your stuff out there.
it really is. Yeah, no, I would be. I'm 30, so when I was growing up, podcasts when I was in college were like radios putting out, a recording of their show to be like, look, it's our podcast. There wasn't really podcasts. And then blogging was just starting up. Like, that's someone from my year who's like a big-ish blogger now because of it. But yeah, so I'm in that age where it's like, yeah, you go to the company, and now it's like, oh yeah, you can just like open your laptop and write stuff and
Yeah,
post it.
it's great.
How did you get into blogging, or how did you find it?
So I was, first of all, really into YouTube, but not that I wanted to create a YouTube channel. I just really liked watching YouTube videos. I think because I was off work, basically I was off sick for like a year with my mental health, and found YouTube and just found it, I suppose, because my social anxiety was bad and I wasn't able to go out as much. I just found it quite comforting to watch girls my age on YouTube out and about and doing things that I couldn't do. And yeah, I found a few YouTubers through there who also had a blog. So I started reading their blogs and realised, like, that blogs existed.
Hmm.
And back then people weren't making a lot of money, I don't think. And I wasn't trying to make money from it, but I just thought, oh, like, I like to write and these people have blogs, like, maybe I could do this just as a hobby. I just really thought, like, I'm off work, I'm really bored. What can I do just as a little project? So yeah, I just saw some other people doing it and I thought, oh, I'll just try it. And I'm quite secretive with things like that. So I just, like, I'll just do it and don't need to tell anyone. Like, it's on the internet. Nobody's like, I don't think I put my second name on it anywhere. So there's no photos. So I was like, it could be anyone. Nobody needs to know it's me. I'll just write it for myself, like, as
Yeah.
a kind of little project. And yeah, I just found it really therapeutic to have a little space to put my stuff up there and not, I think the thing I liked was that nobody was reading it.
Oh,
It was
okay,
just
yeah.
it was just nice to put it up there and be like, I know it's there, I know I've hit publish, I know I've written something, and that's enough.
And then it'll start getting traction from other people that you didn't know, or did you tell anyone that you know about it?
Yeah, so in the beginning I was writing a lot about health and fitness. And after a few years, I started to get a bit more confident talking about my mental health. And that was when I started to get traction because nobody, it wasn't as common, like celebrities and things weren't talking about mental health. There wasn't as much kind of awareness around it. So I was writing about it, and people were finding the blog posts through obviously like search engines. And that's when I noticed I was getting a lot of comments, a lot of really, not spammy comments, genuine like long comments of people saying like it's so helpful to like read you having this experience. This is my experience. I would get emails. I remember getting emails from people in like China, like
Oh, wow.
America, all over the world, and just being like, God, it's so, and yeah, it's just so strange to get really like in depth and insight into other people and how your writing could help them. And I wasn't writing content that was like, here's 5 ways to solve your depression. It was really just me saying, here's all the stuff that I've been through. It was
Yeah.
just, so it was just kind of holding up a mirror to people and letting people see, oh, I'm not the only one who's been through this thing. This person's been through it as well. I'm not crazy. Like this does happen to other people. So yeah, when I started writing about mental health, that's when I started to get a lot more positive comments.
Mm.
And yeah, after I'd had that validation from strangers, that's when I felt a bit more comfortable to share it with other people. And I think the first thing I did was I just shared a link to a post on my Facebook page, and yeah, lots of people read it and lots of people commented on it, people that I knew, obviously friends and family, saying like, oh, it's really brave of you to share this.
Yeah.
And yeah, slowly but surely I just kind of shared more and shared more, and wasn't like one day I just went, here it is. Like I just kind of snuck it out there and just yeah, hoped for the best.
By the way, here's a blog I've been writing.
Yeah, and then like, post it and then just run away and like try not to think about it.
Yeah. I think it's great as well that you're sharing like just your experiences, because I suppose like you're saying, you're getting things back from people who are like, oh God, this is me. Like if sometimes it feels like you're the only one when you're struggling with stuff like that, isn't it?
Yeah, and also like I think offering solutions to people, that's one of the things that really I didn't find helpful. Some people do find it helpful, but I didn't find it helpful when I was really struggling, when I was really sad and really depressed and feeling really helpless. For someone to say like, "Oh, have you tried yoga? Have you tried eating better? Have you tried fresh air?" It's like I don't like I know all that stuff. I just want you to see me. I just want you to see the pain that I'm going through and acknowledge that it's there, and understand that it's happening. Like
Yeah.
that's what helped me feel better, was for someone to acknowledge the pain, as opposed to, because when people gave me solutions, the message that I took from that was, oh, my pain's making you uncomfortable, and you'd be happier if it was gone and that we'd solved it and you didn't have to deal with it. So I think that's what I tried to do, was just let people be seen through the writing, and not always try and offer solutions, because we can find solutions. A lot of us, we know what we should do, we know what will
Yeah.
help, but a lot of that stuff just takes time. And when you're at your kind of lowest, a lot of the time you don't want that. You just want someone to be there with you so you don't feel so alone.
Yeah. No, that's understandable. There is actually nothing more, let's just say annoying, but like it is like, oh, I feel like this. Oh, you should do this. Like, can you just say, yeah, okay? Was it like the types of mental health kind of things you started writing for in magazines as well?
Yeah, so I had been writing about mental health on my blog for a few years, and not, again, like I'm saying, none of this was a plan. Like it's not like I had a really great strategy.
Yeah.
It's just because I was writing about mental health a lot, I kind of got known for that, and I guess it gave me a niche. It gave me kind of like that's what I was known for. So then when basically when mental health became a kind of trendy topic for publications to have articles on, it was much easier for me to then start pitching those ideas to magazines. And because I had all the articles on my website, like when I pitched ideas, I had a lot of good ideas because I'd written so much, and I'd kind of gone from writing my own experience to then like interviewing other people and doing lots of research. So yeah, I started with pitching ideas to the Metro online and wrote a lot for them, and then just on a freelance basis started pitching to other publications as well. So like Happiful magazine, which is a mental health magazine. I've written for Grazia, Reader's Digest. So I just did all that whilst I was still working in a cafe. So it was a really good way to just get my foot in the door and make a little bit of extra money, but just in a way that it wasn't overwhelming, because I could just, if I didn't want to pitch any stories that week, I didn't, don't have to. But then the week after, if I felt I had more energy or whatever, I could just pitch some ideas and write them. And yeah, I found that kind of side hustle was a nice way to just top up my income, because I was in a minimum wage job. And also it really helped give me that confidence boost of like, oh, like I am a writer because I've got bylines in these amazing like international publications, so I must be all right if they're paying me and they're publishing it. So yeah, that was a really good confidence boost that kind of made me realize, like, oh, I could actually do this full time.
Yeah. How did you decide to make the jump completely into it?
Yeah, it was, I think it was always a dream. I always thought, oh, it'd be great to do this full time, but I thought like, oh, it's years and years away. Like, I don't know if I would ever, like, I never dreamed of being freelance. The idea of being self-employed always scared me, because I just thought, how would you like make sure you would get enough money every month? Like, that would be so scary. It'd be so I'd be so panicked all the time. So although it was something that I thought would be nice, I also was really scared of it. But essentially I just got to the point where I had so much freelance work that I couldn't take care of my mental health whilst doing at that point I was part-time in a cafe and doing all the freelance work. So my husband was like, you're working until like midnight every night, you're working on the weekends, like this, like, I know this is great, I'm so happy that you're getting all this work, but it's not sustainable. So yeah, I think for my mental health, I thought, oh, I'm gonna have to make a choice. And I just thought, I don't want to turn away writing work to go and work in the cafe, because that just doesn't, this is what I've always wanted, it doesn't make sense to do that. So I asked my employer if I could, I was doing 4 days at that point. I said, could I go down to 3 days? And they'd been really, understanding up until that point, and they'd cut my hours down, and they said, oh, we'd love to, but it just wouldn't really work for us. We still need you in 4 days.
Yeah.
And I was really upset. I thought, oh no, like, what am I going to do? And that was when my husband was like, look, just try it. Just hand in your notice and try it for a month and see if you can do it, if you can make enough money from your freelance and stuff. He said, worst case scenario, like, you can go and get another cafe job. Because that's the thing, because I was in minimum wage, I thought, well, it can't be any worse than this. Like,
That's true.
Surely, like, and I've got like years and years and years of catering experience. Surely I can go and get a job in another cafe if in a month I realise it has been a terrible mistake. So yeah, I never felt like, I didn't feel, oh, I'm really confident now, I've made this plan and I can make the leap. I just felt I'd got to a tipping point where, oh, I really just have to, there's not enough hours in the day. I have to make a choice now. And luckily, thank goodness, it was the right decision. And having all that, it is that chicken and egg situation of like, I had more time in my days, which meant I had so much more scope to chase more work and to pitch more ideas and to do all the stuff that I needed to do to generate more work. So yeah, it worked out all right, thank goodness.
Do you think it helped as well having your husband say go for a try for a month?
Yeah, and that's awful, not awful, but I really have made a lot of career progression based on other people giving me the nudge to do it, which I wish I'd been confident enough to do it myself. Like, even when I was diagnosed with depression, I remember not really believing it was real until a health professional said, yeah, you've got depression. So that was like validated from the outside. And then with the blogs, like having people comment and having them validate, yes, this is good stuff you've written. And then having publications print my work and being validated by that. So yeah, I wish I'd had the confidence to do it myself. But yeah, him saying just go for it, I thought, well, if he thinks I can do it, then maybe I can. I didn't have
Yeah.
the self-belief, but he had the belief in me, which was, yeah, a big vote of confidence.
Yeah, I think that's probably common with a lot of people though as well. Like, how many people are still, say, for instance, maybe where you were when you were 26 or in a job they're not like happy with or whatever, and they just don't have the confidence to go and do it. And then if they said it to someone in their family or whatever, they'd be like, oh no, you shouldn't do that. That won't make any money. Like, I think you always need to prove you can before you do it, in a sense, to prove to others, to help prove to yourself, isn't it?
Yeah, and sometimes it takes something awful to happen, like, or dramatic to happen for you to go, okay, well, yeah, I can't get any worse, so I guess I'll just try it.
Yeah.
Like I always remember, I don't know if you've ever watched This Country, the TV show, but it's like a big like BBC kind of spoof mockumentary thing, and Daisy May Cooper, the writer, I always remember her saying like, we like our family, we didn't have any money. She said, I remember I had like £10 left in my bank account, and I thought, I've always wanted to write a TV show. I'm just going to do it because I just thought things can't get any worse. Like I might as well try.
Yeah.
And I think it is the case of like when you're coasting along and you're doing okay, you kind of just settle for things the way they are. And it's sometimes when your back's against the wall that you think, well, what have I got to lose? It's kind of when you're down at rock bottom that you think, well, I might as well do something to try and change this.
It feels like it works out more often enough for people who have done that, because they've had to, like, it sounds, I feel it really is that, isn't it? Like, you have no choice, it's sink or swim at that point.
And I think a lot of people have found that in the pandemic, like people that have been made redundant. I know like people that have bought Out of Office, my second book, that have been made redundant, or they've been even just like badly treated by their employers over lockdown and stuff like that. And they've thought, you know what, it's now or never. I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna start this business. I'm gonna go freelance and go out on my own. I know a lot of people have found pandemic has been like a kind of catalyst for that, which is like a
Yeah.
nice small positive to come out of the situation.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, a lot of people have changed or changed jobs as well. Like, maybe not even gone into self-employment, but even just leaving because they're fed
Yeah.
up of where they were. And you kind of think that it will be the opposite when you want to stick on to somewhere where you think is secure, but it's giving people that push.
Yeah.
And you were saying, so when you started blogging, you were talking about exercise and stuff like that first. What kind of things were you talking about in that sense?
Yeah, so it was funny because I've never really been like, as a teenager and when I was at uni, I was never fussed for going to the gym, was never really interested. But I got a gym membership just say about 3 months before I got diagnosed with depression and anxiety. So when I was off work, that was like something to do. So I just went to the gym a lot, but I did a lot of classes. Like I loved going to classes. So I did like Zumba and body attack and spin and body pump. All like I've loved it. Like I go to like so many classes. I just loved it. Like yeah, I really enjoyed it. So I would write about that. And I did a bit of running as well. So I was training for a half marathon. So I would kind of like just like detail like my week in exercise. Like here's what I've done this week. Just as something to put up. But yeah, exercise was huge for me when I was feeling ill, because obviously the endorphins and stuff were really good. And just as I had quite bad social anxiety, so to me going to a fitness class was good because I didn't have to talk to people, but I was still in a room with other people.
Yeah.
Sounds like really sad, but to me, I don't know, just felt part of something, felt part of a community, felt part of a team, without the anxiety of having a conversation, because it was having the conversation that I found really hard, because I just felt my whole identity my whole identity had been wrapped up in work. And because I wasn't at work, I just felt I had no value. Like I just felt, oh, what if people ask me what I do, what am I going to say? Like, because I didn't, at that point, I was not open about my mental health. And I was like, I'm not going to tell them I'm off sick with mental health problems because they'll think I'm crazy. So just being in a room exercising with people, to me, was great. Like, just really made me feel less alone.
Yeah, I think it is like the classes. I think classes are great for that kind of, as I said, community kind of feel. Like you're all kind of doing the same thing, maybe slightly dying at the same time altogether. But like I think as well, even if you weren't talking to them, you're probably seeing the same faces all the time because you tend to have the same people at different same times. Like
Yes. And I felt very much like, oh, I went to the same classes every week and got to know the instructors. Now I kind of felt like, oh, I don't feel like going, but I want to go for that instructor because you know the instructors get paid a lot of the time based on how many people are there.
yeah,
And I thought, oh, I want to go because I like her and I want to make sure like she's got people in her class. Like, so kind of made you think of other people, like a sense of perspective, I suppose.
yeah. That's really really interesting. I was thinking about it. It's nice because it kind of motivates you to keep going as well. And do you think that like that was helping as well in a sense, not just endorphins, but like, you know, would you just, if you weren't in the gym, would you just stayed at home?
Yeah, and probably overthinking. Like it's good to be in the gym and moving your body because it gets you out your head and into your body. So you're just thinking about. I think it's mindful, isn't it? Because you're just thinking about the here and now. You're not thinking about like worrying about the past or worrying about the future because you're too busy thinking about, oh my god, my quads are burning. Like I just need to get through this second and then I'll be okay. And I do remember like doing body pump classes and increasing little things like just increasing my weights over
Yeah.
time and seeing that as progress and proof that I could get stronger even if I was having a bad mental health day. Like things will get better, things change if you put in the work, like, and you're just consistent. Like I can get stronger physically, so I must be able to get stronger mentally if I can just stick with it.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I would view stuff like me like going up higher in weights for stuff like that would be like that as well. It's like, yeah, see, I can do this. So if I can do this, why can't I just like, you know, go talk to people or go online? You know? Not then in that sense, like I would be quite a quiet person, which is kind of funny considering I stand up in front of class and yell at people all the time. But having that, like, it's like, look, if you can do that, you can do this. Do you know what I mean? It transfers over time.
Yeah, but it's funny, isn't it? Because if you're teaching a class, it's like that's your work. Like you almost feel like, well, I don't have a choice. I have to get up here and shout at people. Like it's just, I don't know. When I was working and as a manager, I had like my telephone voice and my
Oh,
team leader voice. Like, and it's like that's not what I'm like. It's just the kind of stage version of myself that I put on to kind of protect myself to do the job.
Do you feel like in what you do now you can be more yourself and you're not putting on an act?
Yeah, I'm very like I try and be very conscious of doing that. Not because I feel like I owe anyone anything or like I don't share everything about my life online, but I feel like I've got a chance to show people that I interact with that it's okay to not have it all figured out and to show up not feeling great and that's okay.
Yeah.
Like I kind of wish that, like I really wish in my old jobs that my managers had been open about their mental health and that they had came in and, you know, been truthful about not, you know, struggling at work and being stressed as opposed to always acting like, well, you just have to get on with it, you just have to pretend to be okay. I feel like because I'm my own boss now, I've got the chance to do that. So if I'm not feeling great, I try and make sure and tell people that. So if I'm going on a client call with somebody and I don't feel great, I'll tell them at the start. Like I'll just say, oh, I don't feel that great, like my anxiety's bad. And it's great because you always see them kind of relax a bit and they go like, oh, I'm so glad you said that because
Yeah.
I don't feel that great either. And then we say, okay, like let's just get this call done quickly and then we can both shoot off. And yeah, I just feel I've got a chance to kind of filter that out into the world. So why not just let people know it's okay to have a bad day?
Yeah, I can't imagine a manager. Imagine you're doing the start of a shift or like the morning meeting, and they're like, "Okay, look, I'm not feeling great today, but we're gonna be okay." It's always, it's to leave leave your problems at the door, isn't it?
Yeah, but it was really sad, isn't it? And it's just not, you can't compartmentalize your emotions like that long term and expect it not to bubble up in other areas of your life. And that's what I did, was like I have to pretend to be okay, otherwise especially as a woman at work in a management job, I have to pretend that I know what I'm doing and that I'm okay, otherwise they'll think I'm weak, they'll think I'm unqualified, they'll think I'm unstable, and my job's at risk. So there's real valid reasons as to why you wouldn't say that stuff at work. And I don't judge anyone for not doing that. I don't judge anyone for acting that way, because that is the way corporate culture is a lot of the time. But I suppose, running my own business, I thought, well, I've got a chance to change that, so I should try and do my tiny little part that I can for the people that I interact with.
That's brilliant. It's really good that you do. What kind of tools do you have now for helping managing your mental health that you may not have had back then?
Yeah, lots. So I think like the time that's passed since then is a tool in itself, and that I have like a tool for me is being able to look back for the evidence that I have survived this long. So if I'm having a bad, depression relapse, I can think about all the times that it was so much worse than this. Think about the times that, or even that you felt this bad, but you got through it. Even if it feels awful right now, just remember that the time will pass and you will get through it, because you've done it before. So I just, having that kind of evidence of that I have survived and I've had lots of good days in between the bad days, I find that really helpful. Also, being able to afford therapy has been a huge thing for me, because I say like I couldn't afford it before, but really I think I didn't understand how much it would cost, because my therapist charges £40 for a session online, and I genuinely thought it would be like closer to £90. So I think I managed to find a great therapist at an affordable rate, and also I get therapy every 2 weeks. So I think it was just realizing like, oh, like I can have a little bit of what I need and afford it. So I have that, and just having my own business is the best tool ever because I can make a schedule that works for me, and I can set my rates in a way that work for me. Like, it's taken me years to get to this point, but financially being able to figure out, right, this is how much money I need to make each month, and this is how many hours I would like to work in order to take care of my mental health. So I very rarely work 9 to 5. Like, I'll work maybe 3-4 hours a day, take lots of breaks, take as many days off as I can when I don't really want to work 5 days a week. Like, who wants to work 5 days a week? And why am I forcing myself to? So basically I try and find that equilibrium of like, how can I make enough money for me to live a comfortable life whilst working basically as little as possible to maintain that balance.
Yeah, that's a good way to be. So probably the only people who want to do 5 days a week in management, don't they?
Exactly, yeah. And don't get me wrong, like I love my work. But I know there's a point where me working 8 hours a day, 5-6 days a week, like that isn't me, like working more isn't me working optimally.
Yeah.
Just because I love my job doesn't mean I need to do it every single day for 8 hours a day. I can do it in little chunks, especially writing. Like, I can't write for 8 hours a day. I can write for 2, maybe 3 hours a day before the quality drops off a cliff. So realistically, it's just not going to work. So I think I've had to kind of get over that, I guess, the shame of saying like I don't work 45 hours a week, because that's what is you're cultured into thinking is the norm. So it's getting that kind of self-confidence to say, like, I don't work that off that much, and it's not because I'm lazy, it's because actually I'm smart and I've figured out that that's okay.
I've cheated the system.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I think it's interesting the way you said shame of that. It's mad, isn't it? Like how ingrained in us it is to be like, oh yeah, no, I don't work that much, but I don't have to.
Yeah.
Like, what? You don't have to?
Yeah, you feel you have to justify yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't have kids, so it's like people must think, what's she doing all the time? And I'm like, I'm just having a great time. Just trying to prioritize myself so that I don't I don't have another breakdown. Like that's the thing that my breakdown did, was that now my mental health helps me make so many decisions, because I know that if I get ill again, it could be 6 months, a year, where time it could take to recover. So yeah, my mental health always helps me make decisions about even this, like, what time do I want to record a podcast? Like, I'm not good in the morning, I don't want to record it in the morning. Little things like that. I think when you're in tune with your mental health, you just get that self-awareness and you can make better decisions.
Yeah, no, you're right. And then obviously you probably know now in advance, if you notice a few things sliding, that you're like, okay, I need to rein it back here, or things are going to get difficult again.
Yeah, and I know I can almost kind of plan ahead as well, so it's not always looking for the symptoms. It's now I know, like, well, I can't record a podcast in the morning and then have like 2 back-to-back Zoom meetings in the afternoon, because I know that's too much. Like, I'm an introvert. I know that for me to perform well, I'll have to pick one of them. I can't do them both. And I'm not one of these people who's got like every hour in their calendar like designated to something. I've got lots of white space in my calendar, so it's like one thing in the morning, one thing in the afternoon, and lots of space around it so that I can just breathe, because otherwise I just get that fizzing brain feeling at the end of the day where I've just done too much and I can't wind down.
Yeah, and I think it's really great as well that you're saying this as well, because it shows maybe for other people who are doing that, they're blocking every hour of their day and they're wondering why they're so burned out all the time, that like that's why, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and I think, yeah, getting over that thing of like not everything needs to be done today, and that's why my kind of system is I don't really have a to-do list. What I do is whatever, I'll maybe write one to-do list, but then all the things that I need to do, I'll put them in my calendar. So if it was like, say I needed to write a blog post, I don't put it on a to-do list. I'll put it on like Monday at 2 o'clock, between 2 and 5, I'm going to write that blog post. So I plug everything into a day and I do it based on, like, what's the most urgent, like do that tomorrow or today, and space everything out. So, because I think looking at a to-do list, you can feel like I'm going to try and smash through this and get it all done today. But a lot of it's like, why have you given yourself that deadline? It's like, do it next week. It's fine. It doesn't.
yeah.
And you feel so bad if you don't. Or I used to feel really bad. Oh, I didn't do that again today. I have to carry it over to tomorrow. And you feel like you're constantly chasing your tail. So yeah, I like to time block and put things in ahead of time. I always say it's kind of like I've got lots of post-it notes in my brain. And if I don't write it down somewhere, I'm holding on to them. Whereas if I write it down in my calendar, I can let that post-it note go and it just leaves space in my brain again.
Good. Yeah, actually, I write all my stuff down as well, but like that, I kind of have a habit of overdoing, I think, my to-do list and going, damn it, I have to do that now tomorrow.
Yeah, whereas if you, like, I have a 3 things rule, so it's 3 things every day. If I write, and never anymore, which means chances are I'll always get those 3 things done. So you always feel like you've won, like you always feel like I did those 3 things today. Whereas if you'd put 5 things on it every day and you're overestimating how much you can get done, you always get that sinking feeling of like, oh, I failed. Today was a bad day because I wasn't as productive as I thought it would be. So I've definitely learned to be like, be honest about how long things actually take you to do, and don't judge yourself for that. Give yourself enough time to do it. And I say that a lot to clients or freelancers when they're setting their rates. Like, if you're a writer, if it takes you a day to write a blog post, there's, then you charge for a full day. Don't think that people are going to judge you. Like, if that's how long it takes you to write the best thing that you can do, then it takes a day. Don't try and squeeze it all in, because you end up making mistakes and then your work isn't as good as it could be.
Yeah, you're right. It's like, quality over quantity, isn't it?
Yeah. And then you attract the right clients as well. I think you're not attracting people that want like a cheap piece of work. You're attracting the people that want high quality work.
Yeah, exactly. But the ones who want the cheap stuff tend to be the harder work people as well, aren't they?
Yes. 100%. They always want you to do more for less.
Yeah.
And that's stressful in itself, because then you don't feel valued.
Yeah, that's true. I think that is most of what I was going to ask you about. We kind of went on a different tangent, but I liked where it was going, so we did that instead.
Yeah.
I do have one other question which I ask everyone, and what is the best piece of advice that you've ever gotten?
Yeah, so the best piece of advice I've ever been given is to remember that right, I'll say it and then I'll explain it. Your best changes when you're not feeling well. And what that means is kind of what we were talking about there. Like, one day you might manage to do, 3 loads of laundry, go for a shower, go to the gym, meal prep your food for the week, and you're in bed by 9 o'clock. You've done like meditation before you go to bed. That's you've done your best that day. You're going through a relapse like me of depression. Sometimes the best that I can do in a day is drink some water and change into some clean pajamas. But that's still my best. That's still the best that I could do. And I've always found that really helpful, because I think we're all quite bad for comparing ourselves to our past selves. Not necessarily always other people, but like this time last week I'd been to the gym 3 times, and this week I've just lay on the sofa. But if you're not feeling good, just remember, like, yeah, you're working at your top limit, at your absolute best. Sometimes that's all the best you can do is maybe even having a shower, brushing your teeth, and that's still an achievement.
That's I really like that. That's really good. That's one that has to be one of the best ones I've heard, I think.
Thank you.
Oh no, it's so good, because I think as well, when you are like suffering from depression, it's very easy for you to beat yourself up about it more. So
exactly, the guilt, that's one of the worst things for me about depression, is the guilt that I feel about feeling sad, and it just gets you stuck in that cycle. I mean, I feel like that. I do think the best thing is just to talk. Tell someone that you feel guilty, and they'll instantly be like, don't be silly. And that really helps, just to get it out and kind of let go of it.
Yeah, it's a really good idea, right? Yeah, just getting it out there. Yeah, so that's everything that I had to ask you. I just want, before you go, can you tell everybody where they can find you?
Yes, so you can follow me on Instagram at fionalikestoblog. My website is fionalikestoblog. And if you search Fiona Thomas on Amazon or bookshop.org, you can get my books, Depression in a Digital Age and Out of Office.
Eddie, that's brilliant. So thanks again for joining us. And as ever as well, guys, you can find me on Instagram and TikTok. It's Chrissy H Fitness. And also then my website is www.chrissyhawkins.com. And just, thanks again, Fiona.
Cool, thanks for having me.
Thank you again for listening to the Why Not podcast. It really means a lot that you are listening in, and I would love if you could please leave a review on Apple Podcasts or subscribe on Spotify. And always, I'd love to hear feedback personally, so if you do want to leave me a message and let me know how you found the podcast, please do.